came in, you are not late. We started early. So no one should feel like they walked in the middle. That was part of the design. I apologize that you had to feel that way because it wasn't nice. You came on time and you felt like you came late. It's just not fair. You did not come late. You came on time. It's like you walk into the minyan. It's all start at 7 o'clock, and you come in there 7 o'clock, and they're already in the middle. What's going on? A chutzpah, and it is a chutzpah. I agree. So I'm just calling out that, and no one should feel that way because we called for 2 o'clock. We just started a few minutes early to share a little non-halachic Torah before we begin, and hopefully at the end we'll have a few minutes to share another short piece, so you don't have to feel like you missed anything. So we're going to try our best. We have 28 minutes. We'll give it 24 to leave the 3 minutes at the end to try to run through Purim. So what I'm going to try to do is point out the areas that I think are least known. Now, it's an impossible thing to do because what do I know? What do you know? Everyone knows something else and everyone doesn't know something else, but we'll try through the little bit of history that we have and the questions that we hear, we'll try to point out, and hopefully along the way, we'll throw in some of the basic ideas. We're going to go in order, starting from tonight, which is Taanis Esther, tomorrow morning, and hopefully B'siyat Shemaya will make it to Ma'ariv on Sunday night. Hopefully, we'll be more successful than Let's leave it at that. Ma'ariv Sunday night is a challenge. Hopefully, so let's begin. Taanis Esther is tomorrow. On every fast day, whether people know it or not, there's a chumrah, either to start the fast the night before, to be noyig certain parts of the fast the night before. We know this, of course, from Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av. But other fast days is actually a chumrah that's brought down in the Mishnah Berurah. Not many are noyig such, whether it means eating wine the night before, whether it means other dinim that might begin the night before. However, everyone agrees Taanis Esther begins on Taanis Esther. And the reason is, and there's going to be other leniencies that we'll quickly mention for Taanis Esther, and the reason is that Taanis Esther, as we already mentioned in this room, so we're going to mention this fast, is a different theme of a fast day. We're not mourning the Churban. It's not a sad day. It's a day of remembrance that Hashem answers our tefillos. As we've already mentioned here, that we only assume, we have no way really of knowing that they fasted on Taanis Esther, as we read from the Kitzur. Fascinating idea, and if anyone has other sources, I would love to hear. But the Kitzur wrote, Mistama, they fasted, because when you go to battle, you fast. The fact that they davened, that's self-evident. As Esther Hamalka told everyone, Leich kenois kol Yehudim, and now a seasoned Balkari right now would cue themselves and belt out the appropriate laning, which I will not do. If someone else wants to, please feel free. He doesn't want to. I gave him the opportunity. Vatan Esther. Leich kenois kol Yehudim. So they definitely davened, but did they fast? That's only something that's brought down a mistama. When you go to battle, when you daven, you fast. Okay. So the fast days to remember that Hashem answers our tefillos, and therefore haircuts, showers, music are all mutter on the fast day. Who fasts? Officially, everyone above bar bas mitzvah. Of course, men, do women fast? There's different minhagim. The basic parting line is generally a woman is of age. She should be fasting unless she has one of the aforementioned reasons not to fast. And because it's a Taanis Esther, which we already said is a more lenient fast day, and we're not observing it on the Taanis Esther, adds on more reasons for one to be lenient. The basic idea is pregnant nursing 30 days after birth. If one does not fall into one of the above three categories, but still feels like they can't fast, usually, obviously everything depends who you ask, but usually if it's a woman, it will be much more liberal, I don't know if that's the right word, much more lenient than if it is a man. I got to be careful, I forgot I'm standing in an office. But either way, but even for men, the Mishnah Berurah writes, if you're a chayla she'ein boi sakana, you don't have to fast. Now that's not like calling Hatzalah. If they call Hatzalah v'chayla she'ein boi sakana, Hatzalah gets quite upset, or not, depending when it is, and if they wanted to get out of that very long and annoying Shabbos Suda, and for them it was a mitzvah, so the fact that you messed up, it's, but either way, chayla she'ein boi sakana just means you're bedridden. Now, what does that mean? Yeah, well, Rabbi, bad headache, no food. I would like to be in bed. So the answer is correct. So take medicine first. You always should avoid. That's the way it works. So you take medicine. You can eat. So you take a little bit of water. You're allowed to take medicine on fast, a little bit of water. You're allowed to brush your teeth. You're allowed to take mouthwash. That is the fast day. The fast begins at a lice. The fast ends at Seisa Kechavim. If one wants to eat before the fast, and I'm saying a lice just because I'm looking at the board here. The easiest way to do this is myzmanim.com. Make sure the right location is in. Because if the last time you went there, you were in Israel, and now you're in America, and your locations are off on your phone, you'd be like, hey, look, the fast is over at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That's great. No, not cool. You don't want to be that guy. I mean, or maybe you do, but no, you don't want to be that guy. So therefore, you look, and it tells you when the fast starts, when the fast ends. There's a few little options over there. They give you like a little multiple choice. Like, do I want to be stringent? They let you like choose your tailor-make your Judaism a little bit. So be careful. But that's now, if you want to eat before the fast starts very late tomorrow. Alais is 5:36. Someone says 5:36. Gavaldik, I keep beforehand. You could. Lechatchila, you should have in mind the night before. Cannot have meal foods within a half hour. Cannot have meal foods, which means you can't sit down till your full blown out breakfast within a half hour. If you need that full blown out breakfast, start a half hour prior. Now, if there's a bunch of times, you could take the later time in the half hour. You could play around a little bit over there.
Start like a proper Suda for 40 minutes, you have to finish it 30 minutes or whatever it is.
Pashtus is you should not eat meal foods within that half hour. Because we're always nervous you're going to continue eating. This is by all things, we're going to get to Megillah in a moment, and we're going to mention this again. But if one needs, someone says, if I'm waking up at 5 o'clock, I'm sitting down to a gala breakfast. So what you should do is look at the different times for Alais. It ranges probably from, if I were to guess, 5:26 to 5:46. So take the 5:46 and go a half hour before there, and therefore you get it. Because there are rooms for leniency which aren't for now. That's the fast. That's the night before you have in mind. You wake up early, you fast, wonderful, you break your fast, everything is great. Friday is Friday, Shabbos is Shabbos. Yes, there are some minor halachas in Shabbos. We don't say Avarachmim, we don't say Sikascha, we do say V'yinayim at night. We're going to give everyone the trick. This is like one of the difficult ones. Matzei Shabbos, when do you say V'yinayim? So the answer is, sorry? So why do you say Vat Kaddish?
Because of the Shekhinah.
Good, it all has to do with the work week. Has to do with the work week. It's one of those things within a month of, the Shalosh Regalim. Like, maybe we don't say it this week. No, it's not. It's nothing to do with Tachlin. But Rabbi, we didn't say Tachlin the whole Nisan. So, no, it's not the way it works. Two different halachas. Saying Tachlin is one story, which we're not going to get involved in, definitely not in public. But saying has to do with whether you're going to go to work that week. You're allowed to have Shalosh Shuddis. Nowhere does it say you're not allowed to have Shalosh Shuddis. There is a Kitzur Shulchan Aruch that some want to quote to have a little bit of a smaller Shalosh Shuddis so that you can have a little bit of a larger Malav Malka as your Purim Suda at night time. However, there's nothing wrong with having Shalosh Shuddis. It seems like there is some funny things going around. I've already gotten multiple messages. Wait, we have to cancel Shalosh Shuddis this week. I'm not sure what's going on over here. But you're allowed to have, and you should. It's a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah of Shalosh Shuddis. If your Shalosh Shuddis goes into nighttime, which often happens, if you were paying attention, last 2 weeks ago, we had this issue also, that Rosh Chodesh was a Sunday. Shabbos was Shabbos. And there was a little bit of that's basically the same problem. It's called a Tarti Desasu. The two things collide. Because if it's Shabbos, it's not Purim Sunday. If it's Purim Sunday, it's not Shabbos. So if you bench at nightfall, and then you say Al Anisim and Ritzei, you are a contradiction. Now, that sounds not so nice, because there are those that paskin, most notably the Shulchan Aruch Rav, paskins, like the Taz, that he says you say both. That's how he paskins. I don't know if that's the minhag. I don't want to weigh in. I'll just tell you what. Let's say someone by mistake got caught up in a Litvish shul and maybe ate something, But that's what they do paskin. No, but let's say the Suda went later. Yeah, if you had exercise after 6. But again, what we should do is, we don't have, Mr. Brura says, don't worry about this issue. You just say Ritzei. And it's important because you end up benching sometimes late. You just say Ritzei. Now, after Shabbos is Megillah. So if you look in the Shulchan Aruch, it sounds like it's like one story. It's like Shalosh Shuddis, Ma'ariv, Megillah, Havdalah. And that's what should happen. Now, in practicality, in the world we live in, I do not believe most shuls do that. They're going to give a break. Why are they going to give a break? Simply because either kids want to come, people want to go pick up their kids, wives want to come. So there'll be a break, but doesn't mean because there's a break that anything else should happen. You're really going straight into Megillah. You're not allowed to eat right then because you didn't hear Megillah yet. So you're not allowed to eat. You're also not allowed to eat because you didn't hear Havdalah. Okay, so I'll do Havdalah. So theoretically, if you need to eat, which, listen, I'm not getting involved. It's a long Shabbos. Maybe you didn't have Shalosh Shuddis for whatever reason, and you don't feel you're going to be able to concentrate on the Megillah, and you need a cup of coffee, let's say. A cup of coffee would be allowed to have before Megillah. So then you have to make Havdalah first. Should you make Havdalah first? The answer is no. So this is getting a little bit confusing. I'm seeing people's eyes going back and forth over here. So let's just go what you're supposed to do. You do Ma'ariv. You're going to Get your wife and kids, not get your wife and kids. Do whatever you want. That's between you and your wife or not, and kids or not. Or sit in shul and learn. It's all perfectly fine. Yes? If you're going to do Ma'ariv, yes. You're going to do Ma'ariv. So then you're going to do Ma'ariv, and then you're going to go, no, Mincha was before Shalosh Shabbos. Mincha was before Shalosh. So you're going to do Ma'ariv, and then from Ma'ariv, you're going to go home and get your wife and kids. From the wife and kids, you're going to then come back for Megillah. After Megillah is going to be Havdalah. If one needs to eat prior to Megillah, you're not allowed to eat. This is back from your question before. You're not allowed to have meal foods within that half hour of Megillah. So usually it's a big deal because usually you just fasted and you happen to be at that one Megillah laning that you know is going to take too long. So you want to eat and break your fast. Usually the answer is, even if you want to break your fast, you only could have like shahakal type of foods or maybe hadamas, not real mizonos. The same thing is over here. And therefore, if you need a cup of coffee, we'll just use that as an example, you need a cup of water, you could. If it's water, you don't need Havdalah. If you're having anything aside for water, you need Havdalah first. For those who are wondering if this is something to do with Purim, it doesn't. This is always. You're never allowed to eat before Havdalah. And this has nothing to do with whether you eat Shabbos morning before davening, and if you make Kiddush and you have a Kiddush club, that has nothing to do with Havdalah Matzei Shabbos. We somehow like throw the whole Judaism into one bag and say we're allowed to eat when we want. You cannot eat before Havdalah, and therefore what do? You make Havdalah. Yes, question. Thank you. So the reason why you're not clear is because you're a Sephardi. Therefore, many Sephardim actually make Havdalah beforehand. So I don't know what they're going to do by you. I really don't. I got a little bit confused looking into the different Sephardi Sfarim, and then I decided, listen, no one's going to ask me this because whatever anyone asks me, I say, I do Ashkenaz. Oh, what's the reason? The reason is, no, so the reason is because we want to prolong Shabbos as long as possible. That's the reason the Shabura brings down. So if you have a choice, Havdalah now or Havdalah in 2 hours, we choose Havdalah in 2 hours. Even though you're saying Baruch HaMavdil, and even though you're doing Malacha, so then you get involved in some of the heebie-jeebie stuff. Even if you say Baruch HaMavdil and you do Malacha, maybe there's still Kedusha Shabbos till you do Havdalah and different things which we're not going to get involved. This gets involved in Erev Shabbos, if you make Kabul Shabbos, but then you did Malacha, did you do any? Okay, all these interesting things. You know, is there Teisefes Shabbos with Kedusha, without Malacha? There are ways to split these things. Let's not get confused. That is Matzei Shabbos. Sunday morning. Oh, very good. Thank you for reminding me. On Shabbos, Be'etzem, this is very interesting. This is very interesting. A Megillah inherently is a sefer. Back Bizman Chazal, we have Svarim like this. They had Svarim and scrolls. So if you like to learn from your Megillah, you can learn from your Megillah. Now, the question is really bringing your Megillah to shul. If you want to learn from the Megillah, you can learn from it. The problem is, why do you bring it to shul? Because for Matzei Shabbos. That's also the Rabbanan called Hachana. You're preparing for after Shabbos. Now, happens to be because most of our shuls are going to have a break. We're going to sort of get out of this whole question because, and then it's going to be much worse actually. You're going to bring your Megillah with you to Mincha for Shalosh Shabbos and then Ma'ariv. Then you're going to realize, oh shoot, I wasn't supposed to do that. So then you're going to go, oh, I know there's something that if I use it, then it becomes okay. So you're going to open up your Megillah and you're going to lay in a pasuk, which is not so simple. That's okay. The Aruch HaShulchan writes like, Ulai, Efshar, he's not so happy about the whole thing. And then you're going to go home to pick up your wife and kids. So why didn't you just get your Megillah then? So the Megillah, if you want to use it on Shabbos, which is more relevant for the Balkaires, I don't know how you say that in plural, Balkairim, I don't know. Balei Kairei, thank you. Balei Kriya. Yes, now you know my dick duk is, yeah. Either way, for they want to use it on Shabbos, they could use it on Shabbos to practice from the Megillah, Let's move on to Sunday. Again, if you have you're talking about Eruv? No, so Megillah, Ksuvim are Muksa, but if you're using them to lane from, it's fine. It's an interesting thing. So therefore, the Megillah, even though the other weeks of the year maybe is Muksa if you're very makbid on different things, but here, if you're a Baal Kairi and you want to open it up and lane, there's no problem. This is Befurish in the Mishnah Brura. There is maybe a Shaila that if people see you doing it, maybe it's called Hachana, because they see that the only reason you're doing it is for Matzei Shabbos. Okay, that's a little bit of a different discussion. It comes Sunday. So first of all, as mentioned, I'm not sure if it's been mentioned. I really don't remember. We mentioned Tanis Esther is a day of tefillah. Purim's also a day of tefillah. Purim's also a day of tefillah. I think we mentioned Kol HaPoshed Yad Noisin says the Zohar. It's not only in tzedakah that when anyone sticks out your hands, they'll give them tzedakah. The Zohar says it's even to Hashem. The word Poshed Yad to Hashem, Hashem is Noisin Loi. We daven on Purim. The koiches, the power of the tefillahs on Purim are incredible. So you want to make sure you daven, which sometimes is very difficult. It's a very busy day, lots of things going on, interesting costumes happening, and let's remind ourselves about costumes, which we'll get to in a moment. Many people wake up early and daven on Purim. They daven Nates. It's a beautiful thing to do, even if you never do it. Why? Because Nates is the most auspicious time to daven, and Purim is a great time to daven. It happens to be Nates is very late now. I'm looking over here. Nates is 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, which means the meeting that starts at 6:30 is going to get Nates. So I understand that Megillah didn't start till, I don't know, 8:30 or 9 o'clock the night before, and it was a late night, but there are those, this is not a halacha, but there are those that wake up early to daven Nates in order to make sure you get a good davening in. Now, when it comes to davening, you let a daven in a costume. You let a daven in a costume, and with this, we're going to segue backwards into Megillah. But you let a daven in a costume. So when they asked this question, Chaim Kanievsky responded, it's Oimei Lefnei HaMelech. When you daven, what are you doing? You're standing in front of the king. So everyone thought he meant, so you can't wear your costume. He said, but how do you stand in front of the king on Purim? On Purim, the way you stand in front of the king is in your costume. And therefore, to daven in your costume, I would assume that there's maybe, just to mention in the world that we live in 2024, maybe there are certain costumes that maybe if they were questionable, if you should be seen in public in them, then maybe they shouldn't come into a shul. I don't know if we need to give examples, but from everyone's remarks, everyone has some idea what I'm talking about. And it would be great if we put all those ideas together. But either way, maybe that costume, maybe, that's the, not the davening costume. But in the world of halacha, you're allowed to daven in your costume. However, let's go backwards one more step. When it came to Purim at night, you could go and show up in your costume. The Shulchan Aruch writes, for Purim, for Megillah, what are you supposed to be dressed in? So the Shulchan Aruch writes actually Big Day Shabbos. Now, a normal year, this is something I don't believe many people mention because, one of the rules is don't say something that no one's ever going to listen to you. So if I'm going to get up here on a year and say, Tuesday night is Purim, everyone put on your suit and tie. Okay, that's a rabbi we're definitely not listening to ever again, as if it's the world's biggest deal to put on a suit and tie. Apparently it is. However, let's mention, it's Motzei Shabbos. So I was just thinking what's going to happen is people are going to finish Shabbos. We got that 20 minutes. You run home to get and help the wife and kids put in costumes, which really means husband jump into quick shower. Okay, so much for helping the wife and kids as they're all screaming, help me, I'm going to help you in a minute. As you're in the shower, you get out, okay, we got to leave. Everyone to the, what happened with the help with the costumes? Okay, either way. But you get everyone going, but shower or not, I don't care. Beautiful. You can shower. It's good. Shul should smell nice. I'm not an advocate against showers, but to go and to take off your Big Day Shabbos and put on your weekday clothing on Motzei Shabbos to go to Megillah, I don't know. It sounds a little bit off to me. Someone's going to say, no, Rabbi, I'm dressing up as how I look during the week. I got it. Okay, let's move on. So just an important thing to notice, you should show up to Megillah dressed appropriately. Davening is okay in a costume, even if you're going to say, well, in the morning, I'm not going to be wearing costumes. It's a shayla often by Mincha, by Ma'ariv. And maybe I'll point out, sometimes it's better. You have that guy, he's wearing like his, give me a costume. Anyone, come on. Sumo wrestler suit. And then he goes, and on top of his blow-up sumo wrestler suit, he takes his jacket, and he pins it onto his back, and he takes his hat, and he sort of hangs it on as if you just made yourself more ridiculous. And I think now it's not oimit, I don't know. So if you're in your costume for Mincha Ma'ariv, you're in your costume for Mincha Ma'ariv, and that's the way you're in Lefnei HaMelech and daven beautifully. We're getting a little short on time, so let's mention that Mishlach Manais is what? Mishlach Manais is 2 items to 1 person. 2 items to 1 person. I say items. I don't say brachos, because there's no such thing as 2 brachos. It's made up. I don't know where it came from. I would love someone to do some history research. Ask your history friend. Maybe he knows. Maybe he knows. Where did it come from? It's not true. It's 2 minim. Now, it's true. How do you know what it is 2 items? Well, if they're 2 different brachos, they're probably 2 different items, which is true, but it could be the same bracha and also be 2 different items. There's absolutely no problem to give yourself a bottle of Coke and a bag of Jolly Ranchers. That's a wonderful Mishach Manas. Please, give me 2. That's excellent. You have 2 minim, wonderful food, everything's good. Okay, you didn't get the chumrah that it's a meal. I'm not so sure. I don't know, a bag of Jolly Ranchers and a bottle of Coke. Sounds like a meal to me. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, you don't give the little Jolly Ranchers. Oh, even to the kids, you don't give that. You give one, obviously. So that's Mishloach Manos. There's a chumrah to give it with a shliach. Some people like, you give to someone, to give to him. Someone was mentioning this morning that, if all your Mishloach Manos that you drop off by people, they're not home, and maybe they're not going to be home, because maybe they're all in Florida. Why? Because they're running, so maybe Chatzar Kaineh, but you have to be careful. Certain sources, right? Make sure you put your name in it. I'll mention, forget Allah for a moment. The aggravation, you come home, and you have 25 Mishloach Manos, and you have no clue who sent them to you. It's just like the whole point of Mishloach Manos is to be marbe reus, is to increase love and friendship. And how much aggravation is spent upon people figuring out, I think this came from him. This looks like her cookies. It must be. People want to know who gave them Mishloach Manos, whether you want to send back, whether you meet them the next day. Oh, you got my Mishloach Manos, and you're like awkwardly thinking, wait, did the kid throw it out before I saw it? And so label the Mishloach Manos. Label the Mishloach Manos. Which part? The Marbareus? Oh, beautiful. Baruch Shekivante. I should have seen it inside. I apologize. That's Mishloach. Very good. That's Mishloach Manos. That's Matanas Avyanim. Matanas Avyanim, as we mentioned yesterday, can be given any time. You don't have to wait for a Purim, and we advise not to wait for Purim. Why not? So you're not that guy 5 minutes before Shkia calling up the rabbi. Rabbi, is it too late? Seriously, you had last month. We had 42 announcements in shul about Matanas Avyanim, and now last minute, no, quickly, I'll sell you. Okay, shkayach, and then the rabbi has to figure out a way to give the money to the ani on Purim. Yeah, let the rabbi worry about that. Give it beforehand. Give it beforehand. We mentioned if anyone wants to give, of course, we could help facilitate that. That's Mishloach Manos. That's Matanas Avyanim. There's one mitzvah left. The last mitzvah is the Su'udah. Now I'll mention before Megillah they make an announcement. So, I know that announcement in shuls are things that notoriously mean, someone's making an announcement. This is when we start talking. That's just what happens. But that is one very important announcement. Hopefully, I don't know who in your shul makes the announcements. Sometimes even the Rav gets up to make the announcement so that people listen and they hear when he says that when we make the bracha of Shechiyanu, have in mind all the mitzvahs hayoim. And then hopefully they translate, because people say, there's a mitzvah yoim? No, the mitzvahs hayoim, the mitzvahs of the day on the bracha of Shechiyanu. You have in mind, this is going on the Sudan, this is going on Mishloach Manos, Matanas Avyanim, etc. So, because we don't make a bracha on the mitzvah, so you should have in mind when the bracha is made. When it comes to Suda, one halacha, which this year is a little bit easier, is the bulk of your meal is supposed to be during the daytime, which means you're not supposed to start your Suda 5 minutes before nightfall. So this year, Shkia is at 7 o'clock. To start your meal at 7 o'clock, first of all, it's just late. I don't know. But and it's a Sunday. So I don't know what anyone's excuse is to start that late. But the bulk of your meal should be earlier. One word about brachos. Sometimes you go to different places throughout the day and different people want you to eat something. So some people say, I'm sorry, I can't make a bracha. You want to blame because you don't want to eat that guy's bad cookie. But other people, you want to eat the bad cookie, but you made a bracha, you didn't make a bracha, maybe you had 1 or 2 drinks, you're not sure if you had a drink or if you made a bracha. The move is to wash, make hagafen, and have in mind that wherever you're going to go, your bracha will come with you, and it works for Amaitzi and hagafen. And you don't have to make a new bracha. You have to do one thing, so you have to have a final destination before pass out and make and bench. You do, and hopefully at that point someone will remind you. Usually it comes together with Ma'ariv. And the litmus test is the more you want to daven, it's probably not the time to daven. I don't know anyone today that's like, I really want to daven mincha. No, you don't. You really don't. You want to be finished mincha and get out of here. So when on Purim, you really, really want to daven, usually maybe let's wait another half hour till you get up to that point. But there's a little bit more of a tolerance on the level of davening if one drank. To drink on Purim, there is a mitzvah. However, don't die. It's not cool. We don't want to show up to your levaya. I only say it bluntly like that because that's how I heard it from Irish Shiva many, many years ago. It's just, and no one planned on being that guy. You could ask Gatzel for their stats. I don't believe anyone, after they finished their stomach being pumped, said, oh, I got it. This was my plan. I don't think it's ever happened. Why not? Because it just didn't happen. So this is the reason why, even though halacha, you could get drunk on whatever you want. The halacha is to get drunk. It doesn't say anything about wine, about scotch, about tequila. Obviously, it should be kosher. But you can do what you want. But we advise to do wine, like Rashi says, the nes was done ali de yayin, so you get the maila of that. But also because, and that's all we could confirm this, that I don't believe anyone has ever died from drinking too much wine. And the simple reason is because it exits your system, whether you like it or not, before the alcohol poisons your blood. That wasn't such a high math equation. I think we all can figure that one out. And that's another reason to advise people, better than telling someone not to get drunk is tell them get drunk on wine. They won't die. They'll be fine. They'll be fine. They probably will just hurt their stomach, even kids. They'll all make it. It'll all be good. And a little throw up doesn't hurt. It's a little messy, but listen, aside for that. And with that, we're basically done the halachas. Make sure you bench. When you bench, you say Al Hanisim. The Taz says if you miss Al Hanisim, you miss Purim. He says you're not yotze to the mitzvah. It's a very strong Taz. In the Suda, he says you weren't yotze to the Suda. We don't paskin that way, but it's like one of those things that like you're having your Suda and you're drinking for the mitzvah also, hopefully. And then what are you doing is you're going and you're missing benching and you might be missing the whole thing. So make sure to bench. We'll conclude. Even after Shkia, whenever you bench, it goes where your meal was, which hopefully started by day. And if you throw up, pashtus, you still could bench. Usually there's something left in you. If you're at the point that you're sure there's nothing left in you, then like the Vilna Gaon famously did after he threw up and he wasn't sure, is then you have to force a little bit more bread down your throat before you bench. But usually, and again, you could talk to Hatzalah about these things, but usually there's a little bit left. What's the proof? When you thought you're done, maybe there was one more. So that's usually, a little bit of a telltale proof. Everyone, yeah, okay. Either way, that's Hilchos Purim. We'll end. We have 3 minutes.